let people get going, so let's see. Can we have your attention, please? Welcome to June 15th, 2015 Lowell Planning Board meeting. Tonight we have four matters for public hearing and one other new business for pre-application session. The first matter is 34 Berry Road, which is a definitive subdivision and special permit. We've received a letter from Attorney Flood requesting that the matter be continued to July 20th. He also signed off on the waiver of the time requirement for the planning board to act within the 60 days of filing, indicating that they're working with the city departments and Conservation Commission to review their plans. So there's been a request to continue that to July 20th, which would be a meeting in July. What's the request of the board on that matter?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to continue the matter until the planning board's July 20th meeting.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, the chair votes in favor. The matter has been continued to July 20th. Moving along, the next project will be 685, 689 Lawrence Street, a site plan review for special permit public hearing. A public hearing will be held to hear all interested persons relative to the application by David Piscatelli for site plan approval and special permit for development of the property located at the above address. The proposal includes conversions of the existing 4-story, 60,000 square foot structure into 50 residential condominium units with associated landscaping and parking. The project is in the traditional neighborhood mixed-use zoning district. The project requires site plan approval under section 11.4 and a special permit under section 12.1E of the zoning ordinance. May I hear the case for the applicant, please?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my name is Gregory Curtis. I'm here on behalf of JMAG LLC and David Piscatelli, the owner, property of 685, 689 Lawrence Street. Mr. Piscatelli has been before the board prior, and we're here tonight to discuss some changes to the plan and also for input from the board. As you're aware, this is a proposal for the redevelopment of an old mill building currently not occupied at 685, 689 Lawrence Street. The project was under review some years ago. At this time, the plan has been revised to include a total of 50 units, and we think we've met the adequate requirements for parking and made a viable plan. We've also entered into an agreement with an abutter to add more parking to satisfy the requirements of the ordinance. This project does a lot for the area. This has been an area that's needed development for some time. There are other condominiums in that area, and it's it's badly needed for housing. It increases, of course, tax revenue. It provides very little impact on the neighborhood. It's roughly a mill building with a paved parking area with adequate parking and adequate egress and ingress. Utilities are all there. Mr. Piscatelli has done other projects, one by name the Sacred Heart Church, which was a project right on Moore Street that he did a tremendous job with, and he's looking to do the same type of project here at the mill building. So we did provide an updated plan. There was a little bit of last-minute jangling with what we needed to provide to the city after talking with Judy this morning and Eric. Hopefully it clears up a little bit of the issues that were located on the plan, but I think at this point we could open it up to comments from the board and try to go through those line by line and see what we need to do to satisfy those matters.
Was anybody else here this evening want to speak in regards to this project on 685, 689 Lawrence Street? Anybody want to be heard? No? Okay. The only questions I have, council, is did you receive the memorandum from our city engineer?
Not from the city engineer, only from the traffic
Okay.
engineer.
The city engineer indicates they couldn't review the plans for several reasons, and therefore we have nothing for them. Let's see. Lisa DeMayo states, "We've received the submission of 689 Lawrence Street on June 8th at 3 p.m. A quick look through the plan shows that they are proposing their drainage system on the land they do not have rights to, ownership or easement. Therefore, I cannot approve such a design. Our workload is extensive, and I don't have the time to review the application to be approved. When they have resolved the ownership issues, I will conduct a detailed review."
Well,
So we have, so as of now, engineering is not in favor until they get the information they need before they can even study the drainage system.
okay, on Friday, we provided a copy of an agreement that we entered into with regards to that easement area, and they've had copies of plans that show where the drainage is located and where these Caltech systems are going to be installed. We have talked with the abutters, and we weren't going to enter into any actual easement agreement until we had input from the board. So if, maybe we're putting the cart before the horse, but if you want us to do that, we'll have to make some arrangements. But I know Ms. DeMayo is very busy, and she has a lot on her plate, but we've provided information, and we also provided information to the Planning and Development Department with regards to that. Do we have an actual deed to property? No, at this time we don't, but we have an agreement, and we've paid consideration, and we have an understanding that the neighbors, the abutters, will sell us a piece of land that will increase our parking and also allow us to put a Caltech system on that,
And the Caltech system will still be reviewed by city engineering anyways, right?
exactly.
Right, okay. And then we had some other comments from traffic about hydrants and other facilities. Did you get the comments from traffic as well?
I have the comments from traffic, and we received those late on Friday. In regards to the number of parking spaces, we have 101 parking spaces, so it's a little bit down from what the issue is in number one. We do have 4 handicap spaces. If we need a requirement to add one more, we can certainly provide that. We have the extra parking space by basing the 50 units with 100 spaces. Snow storage is limited at this time, but we have a plan in place that if we had snow, as we did last winter, we would be taking the snow off of the site. There's a large parking area, and there's also a potential for further snow storage at the back of the property, which is land that we may be entering into an agreement for snow storage. We do have an agreement with regards to the easement. It's been a easement area for some time with the abutter. We're planning on improving it. We're planning on widening it, paving it, adding the drainage system to it that's shown on the plan. So we would be more specific with that, but I think the plan that was dropped off today, and I think you all have a copy of, shows a specific parcel of land. It's 3,803 square feet, which is actual land that we'll be purchasing, which would add an additional 12 parking spaces. And also, under those parking spaces would be the area where that Caltech system would be located for drainage.
So when did we get the updated plans?
It was dropped off just today with Planning and Development because of the,
The updated plans, the full set was dropped off on
Yeah, I
on
understand
Monday,
that.
a week ago Monday.
We have those, so what I'm going by is what I had a week ago Monday.
right.
Because I don't look at the ones I
No, you
get
haven't,
right
right.
now, because I don't want to delay everybody who's here this evening, but.
That-
That plan was for clarification because they said they didn't understand where the easement started and stopped, and so we just shaded certain areas to make that more simplified and easier to be understood.
Because
When
you
I left the last meeting, as far as the legal agreement, you said that you needed a purchase and sale agreement, which we've had for 3 weeks. I told Judy that I had it. I didn't send the copy over until Wednesday, and I think that's where the confusion came in. where I knew that we had a legal agreement, but didn't think they needed the actual document. I told her that I had it, and we did send it over on Wednesday, and I think at that point, it was
What
too late
happened
for
is,
Lisa.
without that legal document, then, put it this way, we can't approve the plan. We can do a lot of other things, but we can't approve it. That's why I'm just asking.
They do have the document now. We've,
Yeah,
like I said,
okay.
we've had it for 3 weeks. You've only had it for 4 days, but.
Right, and that's why what we have to do when we get that legal document is, one, we give it to our legal staff, who have to give us a report, and two, then then the other departments will look at it as well, so I mean, okay. And then we do have a list of things that was given to us by Judy from June 11th. Do you have a copy of those?
You asking me? I didn't hear that.
Either you or
I didn't hear
Mr.
the
Curtis.
question.
Do you have a copy of the comments that were given to you by Judy on June 11th?
Yes, we have those. One of the concerns she had was that there was too much on the plan. It was hard to decipher where this easement was going and where this actual extra land was coming from. So that's why we redid the plan today, just to take things off so that you could see that aspect a little easier. But if, you know, if the board wants to continue this before, till the next meeting, Lisa DeMayo have a chance to go through it now that we're at that point. I certainly can propose and prepare a easement document. We won't, of course, execute it until we know we're going to get through the planning board process.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
we
you
can
know-
certainly have the actual document that's necessary, which will deal with the land area, the drainage area, the maintenance of that easement area, what the easement's going to be used for the two parties that are involved, and
I mean, that's something that engineering, like I said, they won't even look at it until they have that, so that's a big part of what's gonna happen with, you know, if you have engineering, you know, look at the plans, I mean, you know, you
with
know.
regard to just a few of the comments, a legal agreement for off-street parking, we don't need that any longer, because now if we're acquiring a parcel of land, we'll be able to provide the parking that we need on-site, or with the additional land, we don't need to go off-site. We do have an agreement which we can expand on, and actual easement agreement, proposed easement agreement in place for the easement on the adjacent property. I think we've already included the table of the zoning relief on this TMU zone for what we're doing on the residential. And we can certainly put on the plan. We're looking for 50 units with 101 parking places. And in that, out of those 4 to 5 could be handicap access.
Right. Yeah,
So-
because we had 4, and I think traffic engineering said maybe you should have 5, and you have room to put that on there anyway, so that's,
Yeah, we have room
That's
to
not a
make one
concern.
that's
Yeah,
fine.
we actually had more. We actually had 105 spaces. Traffic wanted us to eliminate 2 of the covered spaces for easier turning around access, and also some additional snow storage. So that brought us to 503, and then we still might be at 503, because they talked about if we needed a curb cut, then we had to give up a few spaces for a curb cut. There is no curb there to cut. It's flush all the way in, so really, technically, we have 103 spaces.
so what I'm saying is the handicap wouldn't be an issue, because you could just
Not at
designate
all.
one of those as a handicap.
Not at all.
No.
And that was one of the comments from traffic,
Yeah,
okay.
there are 4 showing on the plan now, and if
I
we
mean,
need
to add one more,
well, we can do that.
That's
I mean,
easy.
you have plenty, it's not like you don't have it.
Yeah, we could put 2 more if we need to.
Right.
There was another comment about the hydrant.
Yeah, I
and
saw that
There
too.
is a hydrant in the parking lot already.
Okay.
It's on the backside of the fence, but I don't know if it's active. I don't know if the water department, I don't know who would answer that question, but there is a hydrant in the parking lot.
Yeah, so
So
I
I
think,
guess we'd have to
I
have
think a
some
couple of them
problem
had questions
testing.
on the hydrant, right,
Sure, it's viable.
right, because I think, that came up in the reviews as well. Yeah.
Yeah, there was one out on the street, and they said that it might be good to have one in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And, I told Judy there is one in there, but, I wouldn't know if it's
Oh, yeah.
active or not.
Any of the board members have any questions at this point in time? Sure, Dick, go ahead, please.
I know the original plan was for 50, and then it went, it was cut back. And I see on the new plan that you gave us tonight, there's 41 and 4.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's,
so basically what he did is he took the old plan and he just didn't eliminate that. He eliminated a lot of stuff to simplify it, but obviously that number has been fluctuating up and down based on the parking, and now we've acquired a piece of land, and the easement gives us the parking that we need to get to 50 units, actually 51 or 52, but I think 50 is the number that is gonna work the best. It gives us a little overlap with those extra spaces for handicap, snow storage, whatever the case may be. So 50 is the real number.
Where are the
Now,
cars?
it's gonna be one of two scenarios. It's either gonna be 4 units in 689 or 6 units in 689, and then, obviously the remainder being in the larger, in the other building, in 685. It all depends how the layout works the best.
So we have 44, 46.
Correct.
I was just trying to figure out where we were.
Yeah, no, I knew that was gonna come up.
My own question.
Anything else? Richard, any questions?
Yeah, I have a couple. The dumpster that you have on the plan, is that in these DPD comments from Judy on June 11th? She's suggesting you look at maybe an additional one?
Yeah,
Is
I
that-
don't, I actually contacted Waste Management, and I posed it to them, saying basically 50 units, even with the 12 townhouses, so I called it 62, what their recommendations would be, and it was a bi-weekly pickup, so like a Wednesday, Monday type thing, and a 15-yard dumpster would, based on their other accounts, that would be more than adequate to handle residential trash.
Okay.
And that location is ideal for a front-end load pickup. There'll never be any parking in front of it, and as long as the road's clear, they have access to that dumpster.
Sure. She's also indicating a landscape open space within the new parking lots.
Yeah, I
Could
mean,
be-
that
there
was,
is a requirement there.
that was an issue from day one, and I think on the previous approvals in years past, there is 2 public parks, one, I believe, on Newhall, and another one on Lawrence, that in past has satisfied the open space. And then also, we're trying to negotiate, it's a 35 or 3,800 square foot parcel that's within our fenced-in boundary and is already grassed, and that would serve as open space, snow storage, if we can get, we're very close to getting that. I think it's gonna happen.
All right, but there are trees required with, or
He's
some
talking
kind
about the
of,
parking layout.
the
Parking
parking
lot.
layout.
there's
Parking layout
there's
requirements.
planters in
This-
the,
Yeah, I believe it's in the plan. He just shows landscaped areas. As far as an actual, what type of trees and so on, that's gonna come, because this is gonna happen for, not this fall, the next fall is when the landscaping will actually go in.
Yeah,
So it'll be
okay.
whatever's
But
available
there
at the
are
time. And
requirements
wherever we can fit it in. If you went back to the church, I went above and beyond what they asked me to do as far as the landscaping plan went. And
But
I
let me stop you right there for a minute. There's a difference between the landscaping plan
Yep.
and the parking requirement that requires landscaping in the parking lot.
So the,
5% or something.
well, we have-
But
there
when you
is-
put the parking lot in, there's a requirement they have to break up and put islands in the parking lot, and that's what
Right.
he's
The
requesting.
main, the
That's
main,
what
I'm
I'm
sorry, the
referring
main
to,
parking
yeah.
lot is existing, and the planters are already there, the landscaping around that parking lot is already in place.
So it must be, then I'm not sure why she's saying,
So the only new parking is gonna come alongside the building, the 15 and the 6 spaces, and then along the fence line where the 9 spaces are, that's on the right-of-way coming in. And then the other parking is basically, part of it's covered, and part of it's within the building that's coming down, that slab area. So there's really, it's like inside, there's no place to put landscaping within, you know what I mean? It's almost like inside parking.
yeah, 'cause I mean, what they do is they usually build up all the parking lots, then they put like a little strip in, do a little landscape, and put some lighting in
Right.
there, and I think that's what she's looking for.
Yeah, that's what she's referring
Yeah,
to.
because that's required under the zoning.
In that interior space, I'm just not sure how
I mean, you can speak with her on that
We
further.
we may have to seek a waiver on that if we need to, because
fine, but,
there's
you know, it should be
existing,
addressed one
there
way
is
or
some
another.
existing grass area now, and there's trees that have been planted, and there are planters, but being in the type of building this is and the way the parking is gonna be, it's not conducive to be putting islands in. You're gonna reduce probably 15 or 20 parking spaces if you do that, but I think we can ask for a waiver
I'm
on
just thinking,
that.
I think that's what her comment would be first, too, so I'm not sure if that's, but you can check with her if need be, so.
There's also a note here regarding setbacks, parking setbacks from buildings.
I believe
is
those
not
are all
clear.
satisfied 5 feet from the building.
Yeah, it's supposed to be, but, well, let me.
I don't think there's any areas where that wasn't satisfied.
Well, what our comment is number 10 on that memorandum, the required setback for parking spaces from a building is 5 feet according to section 6.1.10. It is not clear if the required setback is provided. So it may be just something on the print.
It is, I just don't think the distance is labeled on the plan.
Yeah, the major,
Okay, all right, just one more comment. So it's your intent to come back with a plan that's gonna reflect better snow storage, landscaping, parking setbacks, all the details in a clearer manner. Apparently, some of this stuff is not clear to them.
well, we need to get the input from the engineer, so we're gonna have to
Yeah,
make
okay.
a few more tweaks on the plan, get it over to engineering so they can give us their comments and come back before you, hopefully, hopefully it can be 2 weeks. I don't know when the next meeting is, if it's the end of the month,
Yeah, next meeting is July 20th,
Right. That's all
July
I have.
20?
yeah, 7/20. But then all those new plans that we received today have to go out to department heads, and they have 14-day right to review them, then get them back to us. So even if we did 14, we probably wouldn't get the comments back on time, especially the city engineer. So, anything else, Rich?
No, that's all I have.
Mr. Fischett?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a clarification too, because you provided an agreement, and again, and as you've indicated, a lot of this came to us, the board members this afternoon. But the comment from the city's traffic engineer was that at least ROW parking spaces, it is my opinion that a mere lease is not acceptable for the purposes of meeting the zoning code requirements. Leases can be terminated, which would be, so
I don't know where that came from. I think there was some one word that said leased on the plan, talking
Yeah,
about
this,
the portion that we don't even, this.
there'll be no leased parking
Okay,
spaces.
so
We're
you're
gonna have
going-
we're gonna have an easement agreement. If we have an easement agreement, it's gonna include the parking, it's gonna include the access, and there will be no leased parking
it will be a
spaces.
deeded easement with the
Correct.
property.
It'll be a
Okay.
recorded
And I just
easement, and it will include everything that's necessary for the access and those parking spaces that are located on the easement area.
And again, that's just an example of the last minute, a lot of this
No,
stuff
it's
was
true.
buttoned up,
I-
so, yeah.
I received the plan just, again, today, and there's a couple of things on there that we made notes on, and we need to finalize how many units are gonna go in the large building, whether it's gonna be 41 or maybe a little bit more, but I think that what we're shooting for is the total of 50, whether it's 6 and 44, or 41 and, 46,
It'll either be
46 and 4.
4, right.
Right.
Or 44 and 6.
Mr. Chairman, remainder of my remarks, I think a lot of this was covered by staff requesting information. We've received some last-minute documents, so I certainly would welcome to see the final documents for the next meeting. I will comment, though, certainly we've made an awful lot of progress from the first
Oh, yeah.
meeting on this, and it's gone in the direction that we wanted it to go in, and certainly, I think that's a positive development as we sit here today. But I think to give proper consideration, we really need to have a lot of these items all, clarified before the July 20th
I
meeting.
guess before we leave today, what I would really like to, if we could, is to get one list of everything that you would like to see on the plan, just so we're not missing something
Yeah,
and changing
definitely.
something.
Well, I think that would be
Really
from,
Yeah.
planning and development, and
Right.
we'll talk with
I mean,
Mr.
anything
Genowitz.
like this, when the city engineer, we don't, it was the stormwater, so a lot of things will spin off of that, but,
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
So,
We'll get
thank
all
I
you.
mean, and then the new sets of plans, once Judy and the department have a chance to see that, then they'll follow up on comments, and usually, once they do that, I mean, you can always speak with them in the interim, because then when they send us a copy of the comments, they usually give them to you.
They already, they have, that's just a clarification of the same
I don't know what it
plan.
is, because I
Yeah,
just
it's
got it,
just-
I got it like,
Yeah,
what,
it's
half
just-
hour ago, so
No, I know.
I didn't
No,
open it.
I'm just telling you, that's,
So, I mean,
so they have that. They'll be able to see the lines on it, though, based on the easement in
Mm-hmm.
the purchase parcel.
I think the consensus is that we have a really viable project that's going to be a great benefit to the city, and everybody wants to see it
mean, you know,
move
anything-
forward. But we do have to go through the procedural requirements of getting all the information and all the input from the different boards, and I think we can come to a fair resolution and hopefully move it forward as soon as we possibly can.
Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Boyle?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, I'm mostly focused here on the parking lot landscaping plan. The comment was made earlier that that parking lot is existing. You're still proposing to use the parking spaces in that area to meet your requirement for this project. So as far as I'm concerned, that makes that parking lot a part of this project and appropriate for conditions and standards for us to set. And in addition, we'd have to make sure that that parking lot does meet all of the zoning standards, or we take some action to waive them in order to approve this project. And speaking about that existing parking lot, the trees are dead.
Say it again?
The trees are dead in that back parking lot. The
there,
four that are in the planting area,
Now, those would all, everything in the planters, would be refurbished or refreshed, but we still need to
Okay.
see exactly what we can do with the parking lot to make it meet requirements. If we can't, then we'll be seeking waivers for certain items on the parking, but we want to make sure we have adequate parking. I mean, again, this is a mill building, it's not a supermarket, it's not brand-new construction. We're working with what we have there to try to provide the housing, so I think we can do the best we can and also probably seek out some waivers on the parking that hopefully the board will entertain.
okay. I think maybe it's a situation with that particular design, the way they have the bricks and it's built up high so that it might provide some more difficult soil problems or watering problems or something. So I would recommend being very careful about the plantings in there, because it appears that at least whatever they picked to go in there last time, it's just not doing very well.
I just
it
think there's
needs-
been no ownership and no maintenance on what's there.
And watering, I mean, you can't really have raised planters like that unless you're going to have some sort of watering
Right.
system for it, or,
And
it's difficult.
the footprint narrows a bit as you go up, so there's actually a fairly small amount of surface area to catch rainwater to try to support those. So that needs to be something that's looked at carefully. I would also say that on the other hand, because it's built up, because the actual planting surface is, 4 feet above the ground or something?
Yeah, it's probably 3.5.
Okay, something smaller than a shade tree would, because it's being planted higher, function as a shade tree, as far as I'm concerned. So it might be possible that there's some sort of a bush or a smaller flowering tree or something that would do better in that space than what we formally call, than the maple, oak, lindens type of things that we usually go to. So I would, look, there's pluses and minuses to that. Just make sure you've got, some sort of landscaper or somebody on board who's looking at that particular question, because I don't want whatever you go in there to look in 3 years the way it looks now,
No, I wouldn't want that either, and I'll be the one maintaining it, so.
Right. Okay, this question, you had mentioned the inside parking. Was that the area that you needed to lose spaces in order to allow for the turnaround?
That was a recommendation from, I believe, traffic. And it's 2 spaces that in the far,
Yes, the 2 at the end that stick out,
yeah,
Right.
exactly.
that's what you're losing?
Yeah, we're gonna
Okay.
lose those 2.
Okay, so that's just,
Those 2 right here.
that's like 3.5 that will be covered then. that'll be 3.5 spaces, that will be under the building then.
Correct, yeah, so then I
Okay.
guess that could be used for still, snow storage or whatever.
Wow.
I don't think, that indent part is probably not gonna be, well, I don't know, I guess I get back into it, but.
Yep. All right, Joe, I have a question for staff. Is there any work proposed in the right-of-way of Lawrence Street that's gonna be happening soon?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay. Okay, I wanted to throw this idea out there. If you look at the corner there of Lawrence, Agawam, and Andrews Street, you go out there, it's characterized by an extremely wide pavement width, 0 street trees, and you go right from drive lane to sidewalk to building facade. I feel that in terms of the attractiveness of the project, as well as public policy issues about pedestrian friendliness and street trees and everything, that work within the right-of-way to provide additional street trees could really improve this project. And if meeting your parking lot standards and things, especially those covered parking lots, if it could be done in a way that added maybe a little bump out at that area in the right-of-way and put a tree there, I would certainly consider that to be a positive development. I don't think, it's certainly not something looking to require, but it might be something worth discussing with the city about either doing some work there, or if there is already work proposed some point in the near future in that area to fund an appropriately sized change in the work scope in order to add that. Might be a way to deal with your landscape requirements and improve the attractiveness of your project. I don't think it's something that I want to discuss as a requirement or as a condition, but I think it's an idea that is worth looking into and could be a win-win for everybody involved. I don't need a response or anything like that. I just wanted to plant the seed. I do want to see, though, the breaking up of the rows of parking with landscaped islands, the way it's described in the zoning. What you have not heard from this board in any of your appearances here is an insistence, a determined insistence that you meet every single parking space in the zoning. We went over, we've been over this a couple times, and at no point did anybody here insist, we absolutely need every single parking space that you can provide and then some. I can only speak for myself on this, but if you had mentioned earlier that meeting those requirements would require the loss of 10 to 15 parking spaces. 15 might be a lot, but if some parking spaces came out of this and some more trees came in, I would favor that.
At all. As long as we still get the 50 units, and if we have to sacrifice some few spaces to add in planters in where those spaces are, that wouldn't bother me at all.
There's, obviously we're dealing with a balance here. There's parking demand.
I agree.
And there's also, impervious surface and all of the other advantages of trees. I'm just looking at this plan, where that balance is struck now, I think maybe we could lean a little bit away from parking and a little bit more towards planting. That is all I have for now, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Bob, any questions?
Yeah, I just have one. Item 13 about sidewalks, extension of sidewalks may be problematic. I don't understand.
I didn't understand that either. I don't have the extent.
to the width of Andrew Street. Why would the width of Andrew Street have anything to do with it?
I
The
think that's a
sidewalk would
comment
be
from
in
the old plan when we were gonna egress, from the parking lot through Andrew Street. But now with the two-way right-of-way off of, Lawrence Street, we don't need that anymore.
Okay.
That's the only reason I thought that maybe that snuck through, that somebody maybe had looked at an old plan.
Yeah. All right. That's the only question I had at this point.
Thank you. Okay, what's the request of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to continue the matter to the July 20th meeting with the goal of having the applicant address the various issues that were outstanding from the various departments in the city's engineering department to review the drainage plan for the report and recommendation to the planning board on the July 20th meeting.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Second by Mr. Lockhart. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes yes. Any against? No? So motion's approved. We'll continue to July 20th.
Thank you.
Good luck. We'll see you then. Thank you,
Do
counsel.
I have to go back and fill out, sign again for like an actual written document for the extension like I did last time?
Yeah. Okay. You can send that to the staff and wave an email or whatever's easier, right, Joe? You can receive that from him? Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving along, next matter is 246 University Ave. Um, 246 University, it's a special permit for a public hearing. The Lowell Planning Board will hold a public hearing to hear all interested persons relative to an application by Marcia Hebert seeking special permit approval for a change of use located at the above address. The proposal consists of reconfiguring one commercial unit into one residential unit. The property currently consists of one other commercial unit and two other residential units. 9 parking spaces are featured on the property. The proposed project is located in the traditional mixed-use zoning district and requires special permit approval from the planning board under section 12.1C of the Lowell zoning ordinance. And we have the applicant, please. State your name and record, your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Masha Hebert. My address is 246, 248 University Avenue.
So you can just tell us basically what you're requesting us, what you want to have happen.
Basically, I have a mixed-use commercial building that I've owned for over 20 years. There's 2 apartments. There is a 2-bedroom on the 3rd floor. There's a 3-bedroom on the 2nd floor. I occupy the back portion of the commercial unit, which is located on the 1st floor. I'm an electrologist and an esthetician for over 25 years. And then in the front of the building, I've been renting to an antique shop who's been with me since 1999, Bill Geekus. He's recently retired. He moved out of the building. And so I began to think, like, what was I going to do with the front of the building? So I decided that the best way for me to utilize the building was for me to take over Billy's shop, which originally was where my shop began. And then in the back of the building, where I have my aesthetics and my electrology office, I'd like to make a 2-bedroom unit apartment for 2 people, hopefully college students. And that's basically it. I have the 9 designated spots. If I were to bring another business in, I'd worry about the parking situation. And also, the only other business that has come up to me that really wants to rent it is another antique store. And quite frankly, it was kind of messy looking, and I'd really like to clean up the front of the building. And a few of my neighbors have already commented to me, geez, Masha, it looks so much better without all of that stuff in there. Even though Billy wasn't a great tenant of mine for all those years, it was pretty messy looking, to be honest with you. So I'd like to go in there, make it look nice and clean, put my name back on the window with some curtains and blinds and clean it up and make a nice little 2-bedroom apartment in the back of the unit. That's it.
Does anybody here this evening want to be heard in regards to this project? Anybody want to speak in favor or against? Anybody want to speak? Hearing none. Any of the board members have any questions? And we see you submitted a plan for us, right?
Yeah.
Correct,
Okay.
yes.
Anybody have any questions? Any of the board members?
Mine's been answered.
I have one comment.
Sure. Go ahead, Joe.
I was involved in the production of the zoning code and ordinance which created the TMU district. And and the thinking behind this district is that it is appropriate for areas where both neighborhood-scale businesses and residential uses are considered perfectly appropriate for the, perfectly consistent with neighborhood character. In fact, at one point, when we were doing the map, we were considering creating a buffer of TMU around all of the neighborhood business districts to allow, based on market conditions, for residential and commercial uses to go back and forth in order, if we ended up in a situation where there was high demand for residential but low for commercial, we wouldn't have empty commercial space sitting there while people couldn't, well, there was a huge demand for apartments and vice versa. And so the, on the, in terms of thinking about the land use concept in principle, this is absolutely what the TMU is for. And it would be, the purpose of the zoning to allow this, this space to be converted from commercial to residential, and then maybe if, depending on what happens, you want to come back and convert it back to commercial in a few years, that would be perfectly consistent too. So, I have in terms of thinking about loss of commercial space and residential creep into commercial areas, that isn't a concern at all. I mean, perfectly comfortable with this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Joe, you have any questions? No?
Mr. Chairman, I don't, and actually, I think where this is located, it really is, that's where it starts to be more predominantly residential to begin with, so I think it really, it's as Mr. Boyle described it, I mean, it's a natural progression of the options that you have and utilizing that in keeping with the neighborhood character, so I really don't see much of an issue with what's being proposed.
I have just one question.
You go ahead, Mr. Lockhart.
Just to understand the impact on, the potential impact on your parking here. Currently, there's an antique shop there, and what was the other business?
I am an electrologist and an esthetician. So I was in the back of the building, and I had an antique shop / used furniture store in the front of the building.
And how many additional bedrooms are you proposing here?
My electrology office will be 1 bedroom. My facial room will be another bedroom. They both have closets already in them.
2, all right.
2, yeah, so
okay,
that would be it.
That won't affect the parking.
Yes.
I don't have an issue with this.
Okay.
Sure.
Dick, any questions or comments?
No,
Yeah, that's what it is.
Now, the only question I have is I see we did have some staff comments from our planning staff, and one of the things they said, if the board finds the change to be compatible with the property and surrounding it, the board may want to condition that if any of the egress to the, will not take away any of your parking. So basically getting into the building, make sure you don't lose any parking spaces.
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry, what was that?
They had a condition that they said if the board may wish, they want to put, staff indicated that they want to be careful that if we approve it, that any way if you change any way getting into the building,
Oh, no.
it won't
Wait,
affect the
no.
parking spaces.
Nope, it won't
Okay.
affect the parking
They're
spaces.
concerned that
The
they don't want you to
egresses
have a
are
new
there.
entrance and then lose some
Nope,
parking.
no the entrances that are there are the entrances that are gonna stay. So everything's the same.
What's the request of the board then? Anybody?
I have one question.
Go, Bob.
Is there a handicap requirement on this site?
I don't know. Joe, would you know that?
I'm not entirely sure, actually, Mr. Chairman, if this would be a required handicap accessible unit.
I think the numbers are too low.
I think they're gonna be too low.
Might
We
be.
could confirm that, but it didn't strike us that it was definitely for sure.
Because you're reducing the commercial square footage, so that would even lower the
right, the
in for it,
threshold
too.
for that, so.
All right, that was just a question. I have no other question.
Yeah, right. It's just parking.
Okay. All right, so, what's the request of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the special permit for the change of use for the property.
Okay, motion's made in favor,
Second?
and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Chair votes yes. Any opposition? Hearing none. It is approved. Good luck.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Now, were you in relation to Mr. Al Hebert who lived up in Pawtucketville?
Yes,
What relation was he to you?
my uncle,
Oh, he was a nice guy.
Barry.
Thank you very much. He worked very hard for the city. Base committee with him years ago with Al. Yeah. Matt Donahue, when he was a city councilor. That goes way back, huh? Yeah. Okay, the next matter will be Ursula Street. Just give us a second to get the paperwork out of this one out. Yeah, like I say.
Shall we wait for Mr. Lockhart?
Yeah, he'll be back in 1 second. Okay, moving along, the next matter is 23 Ursula Street, special permit public hearing. The Lowell Planning Board will hold a public hearing to hear all interested persons relative to an application by Daniel and Cheryl Sequelia seeking special permit approval of the above address. The property consists of the construction of a new single-family dwelling on the subject property without meeting lot width requirements. The site is located in the suburban single-family zoning district and requires special permit approval from the planning board under section 5.1.10 of the Lowell zoning ordinance. May we hear from the applicant, please?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. George Theolides Jr., 133 Market Street, Lowell. And I'm here this evening in behalf of the applicant, Daniel Squalier, and who's right here, and his son-in-law, Fernando Vasquez, father and son-in-law. And they are here because Mr. Squalier, about 30 years ago, bought this piece of property on Ursula Street. And at the time, it was a pretty big lot, and it was actually 2 lots. And I think I've tried to show that on some of the plans that are attached, some of the pictures that are shown here. What in fact happened, however, is, and you're all very familiar with this because this has happened quite often in the city, with the zoning change that took place in 2004, a lot of what used to be additional extra building lots were no longer building lots because of the change in the dimensional requirements. Although the code did give some opportunities for, shall we say, modifications of this. And that's why we're here tonight, because basically what in fact has happened is that Mr. Squalier and his wife and their daughter Jennifer have lived in the house for, well, Dan and his wife for over 30 years now. Their daughter, Jennifer, was born with a particular difficulty health-wise that precluded them from I shouldn't say precluded, that insisted that they be available almost regularly to assist her along the way. But she's overcome quite a bit of that. She still has the issue, the health issue, which I won't go into. What she found out in the meantime is after she married Fernando and they had a child, the child has the same health issue. So what Dan and his wife have found, Dan and Cheryl have found that they need to be nearby as much as possible to help out Jennifer, God bless her, teachers, and grandma and grandpa help with the child along the way. So we did this a little bit differently. We know that the code allows for a special permit from the board to allow for such a building to be built, but because of the difficulty of the lot itself, we realized that we don't meet, even if you grant it and could grant it, we wouldn't meet the 72 feet requirement minimum that is involved here. So we went to the zoning board first to do the variance. There's lots of different reasons for that, but not the least of which is we needed to find out right away if this was something realistic with the zoning board before we spent a lot of money. As you well know, it's a lot of money filing applications for special permits and publications and all of that stuff. So in January, we went before the Zoning Board of Appeals, giving them the exact information that's before you this evening, and they looked at it and they felt, and I'll give you a few more reasons as we go along, they felt that it was a compelling enough situation and a reasonable enough lot situation that there ought to be the 7-foot variance from 72 feet to 65 feet, 68 feet, that would be sufficient for them to build the house the way they need to build the house. So I'd like to just show you, if you can look at the, there are a couple items to look at. Number one is the plan that was done by Leo White, and that's the plan that we went to the planning board, the zoning board with, and as you'll see, we have a 65-foot frontage there. Why are we doing that? If you look further on back, you'll see that what we really need to do, what we really want to do, is put the driveway on the front there. But if we were to go too close to the Squalia's current lot, it changes the whole picture. It would put Dan in a position of having to consider either tearing down his garage. If you notice from the picture, and I don't know if any of you, I'm assuming you got a chance to go up and see the house. You actually enter the garage to the Squalia house, the current house, from the right-hand side, so it requires a right-hand garage and et cetera. So now we have a space problem. So I don't want to belabor it, but the fact of the matter is that's why we're looking for the frontage to be 65 feet. As a practical side, this might as well be the Squalia family compound because Fernando and his wife are going to be living right next door to their parents, and everybody will be close by. And as Dan loves to tell me, it'll be less grass for him to cut. As you can see, it's quite a swath that is involved there. So I think it's fair and reasonable. We're here to answer any questions you might have, but we're asking you to grant the special permit he needs to have the house built for his daughter and son-in-law. Any questions you might have? I'll wait till you see if there's anyone else who likes to speak, Mr. Chairman. But
Thank you, Councilor. Anybody here this evening want to speak in regards to this project?
I don't have it.
Anybody want to speak? In favor? In favor? In favor? Anybody want to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? Okay. At this point in time, I'll turn it over to any board members who have any questions.
I have.
Sure. Mr. Lockhart?
How do the neighbors feel about this? Have you talked to them? And
I'm sorry.
the neighbors, how do they feel about this project?
I could
Sure.
best answer that.
I individually talked to all of
And
them.
just give us your name and address for record, if you will, please.
sorry,
Thank you.
sure.
No problem, Dan, that's
I
all
think I
right.
would know that. Dan, Ann Squalia, 23, also known as 33 Ursula Street. And yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. We did speak to all the neighbors. In fact, because of the agenda that was proposed tonight, I told a lot of them, please, I don't want you to go there, wait for 2 hours. I'm not sure how long it's going to be. We had as recently on Sunday, a direct neighbor called and asked me what was going on. I explained to them. They were very happy and pleased with it. I spoke with each neighbor individually, and most of those neighbors would have been here tonight if asked. Ran it by other neighbors further away, and again, no opposition whatsoever. In fact, they all look forward to seeing Jennifer and Fernando and our grandson back to the neighborhood because of the mere fact they saw her grow up there, so.
Okay, that's all I have. No, that's all I have.
Dick, any questions? No. Mr. Fischett?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Just a few comments, and as I went and actually looked at the site, took some pictures as well. Under what the section of the zoning ordinance 5.1.10, we're looking at the reduction of the lot from 80% of the frontage, and at the end of the day, this is a very square lot that we're looking at, so it's very rectangular in shape. It's not pie-shaped, it's not odd-shaped. And I actually took some pictures of some of the homes on Ursula further down, where they're closer together. Taking into consideration, there'll be a driveway and a garage on the left-hand side, the subject home, and there's actually a driveway between the abutting home on the right-hand side, so it's not like this house is gonna end up, right next to the other homes, meeting the setbacks requirements, and seeing the design of the home where the garage is gonna be towards the front of the home, and it's a narrower home to meet all of the setbacks. I think I think it'll fit in there. I don't think it'll look like we squeezed the house in there. Saw the conditions of the ZBA, understanding that I think the little bit of a panhandle on the driveway is gonna come out.
Yeah.
That's gonna be removed, is that correct?
Excuse me. Yeah, what we're doing there is, I wanted to make the lot rectangle as possible to make it clean and for the neighbors. And when I had the architects work with my engineer, and Mr. Sullivan designed the house, the reason why we made it the way it was, so we could take that 7 feet of land off, plus of the driveway, the tarmac, if you would. And the other reasoning was, there's a beautiful tree in the front of the property, and we didn't want to remove that tree, we wanted to keep it there. So I had Mr. White and the engineers and the architect design it in such a way that we keep that lot line so the tree would exist and stay on our property.
Okay, and I saw that was a condition of the ZBA as well, I believe, is that correct? Yeah. And then, one of the conditions of the ZBA is that you would provide plan for approval by DPD staff to contain driveway layout, landscaping, stormwater facilities, all of which are to be met, to meet current zoning requirements. I didn't see that in the packet, so is that going to?
I met with engineering,
Yeah.
and they told me what they were looking for. There's a question on the telephone pole that's existing. I've went to the people, and they're giving me a price. They're gonna move the pole over. Therefore, they would like to see just a straight shot. If not, we can still make it work, even with the telephone pole there, and still be a straight shot after. The big thing was the positioning of the house, so it would look well in the neighborhood, as you know. Even on the other side of that fence, I think we own 1 to 2 feet. But we did that for a purpose to let their driveway have more room, but we don't even have to move the fence with this plan. It will work fine. All the mechanicals to the house will be on the right-hand side, and there will be there's a stockade fence there existing, and there will be a privacy gate, so you will not see even things like air conditioning systems and/or bulkheads, items like that. So we think aesthetically, and the landscaping that we'll be doing to it will be an aesthetic asset as opposed to a negative.
Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Boyle?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. New Lot 2, the new single-family home, where's your parking?
I'm sorry, I missed that, Mr. Boyle.
Where is your parking for the new lot, the new
The new
home?
lot parking is basically the driveway in.
The existing driveway?
You know, there's
No, there's
The second you're gonna be putting in a second driveway?
gonna be a new driveway right up the center to the front of the house. That's why the garage doors are there.
There's 2-car garage doors, if you have a picture of the house, and the
It's in
driveway.
in
will-
your package, the proposed drawn house.
Okay.
So there'll be all off-street parking.
Yeah.
Okay. The condition from the zoning board about the driveway layout and everything, and the, also all existing driveway pavement to be removed from Lot 2, I'm assuming that, okay, that's going to...
They're part of the record, and that'll be part of what's to be done here, yes.
Right. I just want to make sure that the condition meeting all current zoning requirements, that means that the pavement from the existing driveway has to be removed not just to the lot line, but also to meet a certain setback under the zoning. Right, Joe? There's a setback from lot lines for parking facilities?
Generally, yes. The way this is currently configured, it will do that. It'll meet the parking requirements with the
Okay.
pavement removed as part of the condition, as well as the new driveway that leads up to the garage.
Okay.
And I should note, Mr. Boyle, that the zoning board decision was already recorded, so that's why I said it's part of the record for forever.
That's right. Yep. Okay. All right. In terms of the general concept and lot coverage and density and the neighborhood character, I have no qualms whatsoever.
Thank you.
Mr. Malovich, any questions, comments?
No, but I agree with Mr. Boyle. I think, I live on a 7,800-foot lot, and I think it's adequate to raise a family. So I think this proposal is okay with me.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to say, Counselor, why things are going well, or?
I don't often have this kind of, I'm basking in the,
So what's the request of the board? Anybody want to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we pass a special permit for the applicant.
Motion's made, and we have a second?
I will second.
Second by Mr. Boyle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes yes. Any opposition? Hearing none, the motion carries. Good luck. Good luck, Dan.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
thank you.
Okay, moving along, we have a pre-application session for 2 Prince Ave. The following individual has requested the planning board to provide a preliminary review of their proposed project at the above address. This was not a public hearing. The board will render no decision on this matter. The applicant proposes to renovate the existing property for the purposes of operating a data center. The applicant will require site plan review approval under section 11.4 of the City of Lowell zoning ordinance. The land is comprised of approximately 627,264 square feet of area and is located in the light industrial zoning district. May they hear from the applicant, please?
Mr. Chairman, once again, George Hielides Jr., 133 Market Street, Lowell. And I'm here with all the rest of these people except this young lady in the corner, all of whom are here for you people to get the first look at what may become, or we certainly hope will become, the new Prince property the former Prince Spaghetti House, as we all knew it. And let me just give you some background before the gentlemen give you the site plan. I'm here tonight representing an outfit known as the Markley Group. They're a Delaware corporation, but they're currently operating principally in our area out of Boston now. And they're looking at this site, which we all, I think, know pretty much in the city is probably one of the biggest and most important sites at this point in this juncture in the future of the city, sitting on 14.4 acres of land, quite remarkably, and housing a building with 350,000 square feet, the better part of which, they say 75% of which, according to the record, has been empty since 2006. And the prospects certainly weren't very good. The site is a mess. It's been used only for warehousing and storage of goods, some inside and unfortunately some outside. And we've been told on many occasions that it's a major headache for the police along the way because, as you well know, it's really an out-of-sight site, and there have been just far too many incidents in there. So along comes the Markley Group, and who are they? Well, it's a company that's based in Los Angeles, and it's the largest and the longest operating multi-tenant mission-critical telecommunications and data center in New England. So what you say, well, because there is so many things that these folks can do, and I'm going to say at the risk of seeming somewhat over-dramatic, I think it could be a game changer for the city. We're talking about something in my 45 years representing developments is unmatched by way as a proposal, except possibly the Wang Towers that come close to that, with the capability of changing the face of the city. The Markley Group owns and operates these centers, similar to the one that are being proposed here, in Europe and North America, including Boston, Chicago, Miami, Las Vegas, San Francisco, Toronto, Paris, Marseille, Geneva, Milan, Frankfurt, and soon, we hope, Lowell, Massachusetts. I think it fits well with the rest of those. So, you can understand my, shall we say, excitement when I talk about what this is all about. They anticipate investing $150 to $200 million. I'll repeat that, $150 to $200 million in investments and expenditures, not just by the Markley Group, but by the tenants that will be coming in with them over the next 20 years. And they'll be employing new people, and over the next 20 years, at least another 100. Not to mention what we're talking about for the site work and the construction work that's going to take place to make this a feasible operation. The city manager and his administration have worked tirelessly, I can say, in support of this project. They've arranged for a TIF that will help everybody involved. It'll encourage and incentivize the Markley Company to come and get others to spend the money here as well. And obviously, we're looking for a lot of benefits from the city, including all of the economic benefits and work benefits that will go with it. So, I've already spoken too long, but I can't tell you how exciting I think this project is. Joe has had an early view of this when the gentleman came up first to talk about this. Will the project get done? I'll just end by telling you this. Mr. Markley, the principal of the company, his slogan is, "Failure is not an option." So he's quite confident, and these folks are confident, that they're going to be able to put together a first-class operation that, by the way, intends to not only build a building and do something, not build, rebuild, and rehab the building entirely on the exterior I don't want to take any thunder away from these gentlemen, but also to securitize it, because security is one of the top and most important things. We're talking about companies like Harvard College, Boston Red Sox, or many banks, operations from all over the country that will be doing business or have their equipment there. So, without any further ado, as they say, I'm going to, I should, I suppose, introduce the group, but I'll start with Dave Wildauer over there. And now I've forgotten this gentleman's name. Didn't meet Teo. This is Teo. I've met him on the phone. It's the first time we met face to face. Mr. Cahill, I think you know, he's the man everybody in the city knows. But Lou Lapat, right here. Lou is the company engineer and a man who has gone over every square inch of this property 100 times, and he's here to say he likes it and is very interested in working with it. George Theodore, my associate, I think you all know. Larry Grossman. And Mr. Grossman. So they're from Stantec, the engineer folks, except for Lou, who's in-house. And I think Dave's going to lead off and give you an idea of what's going on. And I thank you for letting me spend a little more time than we normally do for a pre-app.
Thank you, George. Good evening. Thank you for seeing us. My name is David Wildauer, and I'm a project architect with Ad Inc., which is now a part of Stantec Architecture, and we're in Boston. We've done quite a few projects for the Markley Group, all relative to their data center in Boston. I suppose that if you can help me out, we have these boards, and we'd like to use them to illustrate. Is this probably the best place that we can set this up, and maybe I can point at it while I speak?
Shall they bring him inside closer to the gentleman? I think.
Oh, we need the microphone, I think, for the...
Well, Joe, can we get him a microphone? Can you all see it from?
Yeah, I can see it from there.
I think we're okay.
Miss, can you see this? Are you concerned with this? If you want, you can come up here and sit. We just want to make sure you see it, okay? The rest of them, I'm sure in the background know what it looks like, so.
Thank you. Should I wait for Joe to come back?
No, you can go, you can use that mic if you want to leave it right
Okay.
there.
Thank you. I would just like to give you a very brief overview of the project and introduce you to its major characteristics. As George said, this is a data center, and as such, it is a facility that is secure and highly reliable. That's what the mission-critical aspect of it is. It means that it's a place where Mr. Markley's customers can locate their computer equipment and have a high degree of confidence that the electricity will be available to keep it operating, and that there's people on duty around the clock to see to it if there's anything that goes wrong. So it's secure and it's highly reliable. I'm sure you're very familiar with the site as it stands today. We have the main building, which is actually the newest piece of building on the property. And there's lower one-story buildings, which are older. These on your right side are on the south side of the building, and these on your left are on the north side of the building. What we intend to do, what Mr. Markley intends to do, excuse me, is basically renew the entire property. At this time, we have a small project going forward, which is an interior renovation of these two smaller buildings on the south side. And that is because of his pressing business need to get some customers located in there before and during the time that we undertake the major construction on the main building. Before I get done with this existing condition, I will just point out that the two smaller buildings on the north side of the site, we intend to demolish to make room for an equipment yard. Some equipment that sits outside on grade, and we intend to take those down and use that space for that. I'll move on to a visualization of the site. You can see the main building here. the building is full of equipment. Just to talk a little bit about the building type. The building is really chock full of computer equipment, very few people, fewer people, I would say, than even a warehouse. So it's really a kind of a unique building type in that. Very little parking requirement in reality. Very modest amount of truck traffic, really just tenants moving their servers in and out. It's really not a very active site in any vehicular or population aspect. So the main building is going to be completely renewed. You can see we're going to take off all that old concrete skin and redo it completely in a new way. The same thing for these two smaller buildings on the south side. The only new construction we are proposing is a two-story addition on the far south side of the site. We see that as an opportunity to get some more space up and rentable before and again during the time that we get into some very heavy construction and site work to do the balance of the property. As I said, these buildings would be demolished, and this will be an equipment yard out here. I will say that the building is, because it's full of computer equipment, there's a good amount of equipment that stands behind that. That's electrical and mechanical equipment for air conditioning. And the way we are seeing this project organize itself now is there will be a yard which would be fenced or walled here, which would have a good amount of this cooling and electrical equipment. And also we're going to construct a depression in the roof up here, which is like a well, and that will also have a good deal of mechanical and electrical equipment in it. So that'll be well screened up on the roof. We're actually inserting a new fourth floor in here to make more floor space that Mr. Markley's clients can make use of, because the floor-to-floor heights are so high. We're not making the building any higher, but we're putting some added floor space in there. And I think that's what I can tell you about the project generally and what its major characteristics are. Theo Kindermans is with us here tonight, and he's in charge of the site engineering and landscape architecture. So any questions you have about the engineering of the site, that would be Theo that will deal with that. So I think I'll give him a minute to introduce the site plan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Theo Kindermans. I'm a principal with Stantec. I'm responsible for the site planning. I'm a landscape architect by trade. David gave sort of already the major overview of what's going to happen out on site, at least as far as the building concerns. The couple of items that I do want to talk about is that, you know, we are going to be proposing to sort of re-envision the approach to the site. This is Prince Avenue that we're going to be proposing to maybe enhance, beautify, so that, you know, we clean up our front door a little bit. Our front door will be at the same, currently it's the same entrance off of Prince Ave where it currently is. David said our parking demand isn't as high, but we're obviously going to be complying with zoning, and as it stands, depending on how the final numbers of the square footage of the building work out, it's about 250, 260 spaces that we're going to be needing for zoning. For the use, we're nearly, not nearly in that amount. So we're going to be showing what we require. Our main parking will be in sort of one big field right at close to the front door of the building. And this is going to be a very nice front door. So as you come in, there's a clean alley, clean shot to the front door with a parking field off in that direction. And then we'll make up the remainder of the zone of the required spaces in the rear of the building, an area that currently already is paved. This is all paved, and actually there's some railroad tracks that are currently in there. As you may know, there is as Meadow Brook runs through the top of the site, which is a river. So it's we're going to be going to Conservation Commission for buffer zone and riverfront impact. So we're going to be meeting all requirements for stormwater that DEP is setting for us. So since the site slopes in that direction, we're going to be taking care of the stormwater, both in quality and quantity in that area. We have a little bit of, we have a small loading dock, as David said, just, again, just right off of the front door for, I think it's three or four trucks wide to service our building. That's, in a nutshell, is the site.
So a couple more things. First of all, I neglected to say, as important as anything is that in fact, the property was purchased today. The completion of the deed has been recorded and it's now owned by the Markley Group and no longer the Lowell 5-cent Savings Bank, which is a wonderful thing for everybody. These folks are moving forward as fast as they can. It's a classic time is money, etc. We intend to file for site plan review by this Friday and be here at your July 20th meeting for a public hearing. We wanted to get a feel, wanted you to get a feel for the place and any questions you might have along the road early on. Obviously, we'll be filing our plans with the city, the site plan itself. And these folks are going to be working with DPD, with all of the department offices to hopefully have everything in order by that July 20 meeting. We really want to move this forward quickly. So, did you want to add anything to this? Okay, anybody else want to add anything? Questions?
So, go ahead, Rich.
No,
All right.
it's all right.
So what you need from us is what, you have the existing building, so that doesn't require any relief from us, it's just a new building that you're gonna build that you need the site plan for?
Well, the site itself.
Yeah.
Site itself.
Okay. Because I noticed you're tearing down one building and adding to that, so that would be, is that gonna be over 10,000 square feet, that building?
Yes.
Okay, so that would require our approval anyways, okay. 'Cause I remember reading your applications like 2 phases, but, okay, and the second one's required the relief, okay. All right. That's the only question I have. Go ahead, Rich.
Well, I had two concerns. After driving around over there, it's a pretty complicated area. And difficult to get to with the gates closed too, but access to the site, obviously, and road work improvement around the area, I'm sure is part of your plan at some point. Can you just, I know you said you're gonna make some improvements to Prince Avenue, but, boy, it seems like it would be appropriate to do just maybe a little bit more than that.
Would you like to comment on access to the site?
So, my name is Louis Lepac. I've been with Markley for one way or another for the last 20 years. I've done most of the sites in Europe and as well as most of the United States as well.
Louis just moving into Lowell, so
Right.
he's a transient, so to speak.
I am.
He and his wife are moving in,
Right.
anxious to do so. He kind of likes what's
Perkins Park.
right at Perkins Park, so.
Welcome.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
So, you want to talk about the entranceway at
I
this
actually
point?
haven't seen this for a while, so let me see. So the entrance, this is Prince Court. Prince Court right now, and it is, on your drawings, it only says New Street. It doesn't even have a name. I know it by sort of Prince Court, but it doesn't have a name. There's no utilities or any facilities on that street. It looks like it was put in by the previous owner of this company. And I think he might have bought the houses and then turned it into a street, just so, because getting around here with trucks is impossible. So this is the entryway. I understand that there is another entryway being produced right through this area here on the extension of Newhall Street.
Well, that's gonna be done, yeah.
And so I don't know if you were kind of getting at that. I liked it myself, and it's up to the owner and the architects again how they do that. But this street does offer a very wide boulevard type of approach. It does require You come here and turn left on Moore, I think, Moore Street, and then come in. So it does facilitate larger trucks, and we have a truck turnaround area in here as well. And so it looks like it works well for us today. Is there any other? There's also an entrance back off Andrews, which also, which is back, yeah, it's over there. There's an entrance off of Andrews today that can get to the back area, because this area is set up for, this is generators, heat rejection kinds of equipment. These are fuel storage kinds of depots. And there's a way for the fire department to get in and around, because there's a dramatic, I think it's about a 15-foot gradient change between this lower level and that level up there. And so we propose to be able to give a road around the site like this that the fire department can use as well.
All right, yeah, good, okay.
So
I don't think it's a major concern, based on your comments about the amount of traffic you're dealing with here, but, you know, I think it's an important consideration. You got a very dense neighborhood, which brings up my second question or comment. As you go through the construction phase of your project, you need to be aware of, you know, the abutters there. I mean, I'm sure that there's gonna be concerns in that neighborhood as to the activity that goes on during your
there's no
construction process, and it really should be closely watched.
Well, it is absolutely. I don't know how this building was actually constructed, if it all came in on a railroad in those days, because there was a railroad spur behind it, there still is, in fact. Whether or not they brought all these panels, because all the panels here were brought in on some means. They came from Canada, I think, something like that. And I think they were trucked in, so they don't know how they got to the site, because that's before, I think, maybe the street was even in, but whatever, it's, we're aware of this. I think that the construction phase is about a year, and after that, the amount of truck traffic is really going to be down.
Right.
So certainly, it will be a lot better for everybody around than what has been there, because the truck traffic coming out of that northeast recycling was pretty rapid. I've spent a lot of time on the site, and they were always in and out. So I think the neighborhood will benefit by it. Certainly I know that. So I've done these buildings all over the world, and I'll tell you that even in a city like Frankfurt and Milan and Geneva, Switzerland, we did those. It changed them drastically. Even in Paris, France, we did 2 sites in Paris. And it really changed that area. This will definitely make a big impact. This kind of investment, and the owner has such, such contacts, and everybody loves him so much, because he really does an incredible job, that they're dying to get here. So Lowell has a pretty good name, and all of our clients are anxious to come. And so that's why we're moving so fast on this lower level, because we already have a standing orders placed that we need to get people up right away. So and we're bringing redundant fiber back from Boston through 2 different routes. So there's an incredible amount of investments that's going to go into this property as well. We're working, I think, well with all the city departments. They've been very gracious for us. I think Lowell's got a great business attitude. So we just want to make that open to you as well. If you haven't been to a data center, I invite you to come to Boston. I can leave my cards. We'll arrange a trip. Many of the city department heads have come to our facility, and they know now what we're up to.
Including Joe.
If there's any questions,
No.
I'll leave my cards here if you'd like. And
Dick, any questions?
No?
Jeremy?
See what comes going forward.
Jerry?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a few quick questions, or just one question, really. I think of a facility like this, and I think of cybersecurity, but is there physical security around the building? And I'm thinking, you know, we're talking about, which is great, the approach and how it's going to look and landscape, but I visualize some sort of barriers, and I think of it as a target for terrorism, to be honest with you. So just curious as to, for facilities like that, is there any kind of physical security that would be part of the site plan itself?
Dave's going to answer that, but I can tell you this, that on the visits I've made there, and Joe will vouch for this, they're currently where Macy's was, where Macy's is, where Jordan Marsh was. You wouldn't even know it, because they fixed the exterior of the building to look like an apartment house or something like that. But first of all, you can't get in there without going through a check with a license or an ID with a picture, which is run through a computer, which I'm pretty sure goes to Homeland Security as well. So that's in terms of anywhere getting near of getting inside the building.
Yeah, and that would be internal. I'm just curious as, even for a truck to approach the building. That's why I expected to see,
There's going to be a gate.
yep, okay.
And there's going to be, there already is a guard, I think there already is a guardhouse, but there will be a gated entry with a guard posted at all
Right,
times.
that's what I was, yeah.
And the entire perimeter will be gated, fenced in some way. They haven't got the particulars of that.
And that's what I was curious as to how that
They
all
may-
fit
maybe
into the
Dave-
site, to the site. I would imagine that would be an
Very
important part of the
important.
site plan, yeah.
Lots of equipment in there.
No, what I can tell you about this site, and I understand your concern, is that there will be a perimeter that is secured by fencing or walls or what have you. I can't say it's actually right around the property line, but there will be a perimeter. There's going to be quite a bit of dense planting around this perimeter as well. And the physical security will take the shape of something that's appropriate for the location. If I say that this line runs through a grove of trees, well, it would probably be chain link fence. If it runs along the street at the front gate, it would be something more attractive. But it is true that there is access control on the site. At the main entry, there will be a guard station there, there will be a gate, and people will have to check in, including trucks, before they're granted access to the site.
That's what I was curious, to see how that'll be incorporated into the site plan. Good, thank you.
Joe?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Boy, this is an exciting proposal. 9 digits worth of investment, in very forward-leaning industry. Sounds like a big energy, heavy energy user. I'm looking forward to hear you come in and brag to me about all of the green building techniques that you're going to incorporate into this project. It's a waterfront project, energy. Seems like there's a lot of opportunities there.
Right, it is an heavy energy user. When I first laid the site out, I looked at 60 megawatts. Well, 60 megawatts is a lot of power.
Yeah.
And it may not get there. On paper, it looks like 60 megawatts. It'll most likely start at about 15 megawatts, and then it'll grow. Hopefully, we grow 5, 6 megawatts a year. That's a pretty exciting growth plan. But the RFP we have just returned, the mechanical electrical portion has just been returned to us. And so on that, we've asked for a PUE of 1.5, but an annualized PUE of 1.3. So a PUE is the power efficiency of the site. So say it's 1 kilowatt for electronics, and then the next part is for what it takes to cool that. So it's almost wasted energy. But on this one, and so many sites around the world do 2, 2.5. You hear some very big claims from Google and other places that they're down around 1.4. We're going to be about 1.3 annualized, which is an incredible statement. So it'll make use of free cooling whenever possible, and in this climate we get to use that quite a lot. We'll have generators to back up all the power, and we regenerate any kind of power we need. We only use them for emergency uses when the commercial power is down. And we hope that's never. And aside from that, it's not a LEED certified building, but it absolutely could be, because the energy efficiency is as good as anything you're going to see out there. So one thing the owner did ask me to do is he says, I want this to be something really special, and I really want to, and he likes to advertise that. And so one of the things that we do is we tell him how efficient we are with resources.
That's great. It sounds like that you really put a lot of thought into the energy consumption issue. Great. I would love to see that much thought put into other aspects of making this into as much of a green building project as possible. I trust you've already been pitched on pervious pavement?
On what? Oh, yes. So the site today totally runs towards the river. And we will, whatever we do, and I don't know what that's going to be, but we are absolutely going to make this site better than it is today. And we understand all the rules and regulations around runoff and things like that. And we'll certainly comply with everything.
Excellent. Are you considering a solar array?
You know, it has been pitched, but our power is so big that solar doesn't do much but run lights. And so we use LED lighting systems as it is, and so they're very, very efficient. And we just can't generate enough power off of that. And for that kind of roof space, we need that for heat rejection and things like that.
Okay. All right.
Sure. A windmill would be nice.
No, it doesn't work around here.
Bob, any questions?
I'm excited about this. I grew up in that neighborhood. I played in the Prince Yards. We chased out of there very, very many times. I swam in that brook. I think the spillover effect is going to be a wondrous thing for the whole neighborhood. The investment going in here is going to, just spill over and force some people to change the way they're living today, and the properties are going to turn over. And I think it's a great thing for that neighborhood and the Gorham Street corridor. I'm enthused about this project.
I yet can't convince them to rebuild the Prince Grotto. I've been working on that.
It's something like that.
Prince Grotto, one of the best.
Joe's too young. Probably the
What a great place.
restaurant that was like nothing else in the city many years ago. And
Worked there for a little bit.
what was that, Bob?
I worked there for a little bit.
That's right, I forgot that, that's right. So, so many good things, and I hope, Lou was very nice to make the offer. I think you should see this. I have never in my life ever seen equipment like this, pipes and wires and air conditioning. The air conditioning, as you can imagine, just to handle maybe a computer system in here, how much air conditioning. Well, just imagine when you're talking about the pipes for the air conditioning are huge, and the systems are huge, and it's unbelievable.
I have one more question. Didn't this site have a relationship with Leonard?
Early on,
There's steam pipes going all through that neighborhood.
there's a steam pipe, yes, yeah. Well, Lou, we looked at that, and it just not
I don't know
gonna,
if it,
yeah, it can't
any
help.
benefit.
Can't help.
You don't want to
Yeah.
heat that, you want to cool it.
Yeah, can't help. The other thing is that Mr. Markley and his company have the largest fiber wire setup in the Northeast in Boston, a lot of which is going to be looped into Lowell, which is just an incredible advantage for any company that wants to be around here and use the facility. The interesting thing is, you can't say, and you'll see this if you get to Boston, it's not like there's going to be a lot of people around. It's a place that is equipment driven. And you want to talk about fire protection, and it's mind-boggling. Mr. Markley's attitude is, if it's a question of safety, do another backup. If it's a question of power issues or everything, there's redundancy all over the place. It's a remarkable facility. So if we can bring it to Lowell, I think it's a true home run.
I take it your trucks won't be going under the Prince Bridge then, right? Be coming in the other way?
Well, we don't want to make a prison of in the site, but
That's
anyway.
unfortunate, yeah. But
Any other questions before I let these folks
I think we're all
go?
set.
We're looking forward to bringing some more serious plans in July 20th.
Actually, I did have
getting-
one more
Getting
question.
things moving.
I did one more. Where do the roof drains currently drain to?
I didn't hear you.
The roof drains? That's a big area.
Drains?
Yeah, where do the roof drains currently
Yeah,
go,
so
and what's the plans?
This is kind of an interesting point. We're actually now learning more about this building as we go, just today again. So this building here is an existing building. Its roof pitches this way, and the drains are on this side. They're gathered together. They go into a catch basin right here. And the catch basin then goes over to this retention pond area along here, right before, next to the river in the wetlands.
Okay.
That is the same as these other catch basins. None of them go to the river itself. they go to this retention pond. This building here, the largest of the building, it has drains on all around the building, which we think today, there is a large 30-inch main storm drain under the building, about 5 or 6 feet down, and it picks up water from the hillside here, through catch basins here, through a catch basin here, and then into the building, under the building, and around, and these drains go down into it as well, and they drain, I think, into the river.
Straight up.
Straight right into the river. That's how it's built today. So, we'd like to change that.
We'd like to
because
change that.
We don't want storm drains coming through our building. It's not a healthy thing for electricity, so we're looking at that right now. But I don't know what the answer to that is today. We just have, every day we learn more about it. It was occupied, so we couldn't do a lot of examination on it before, but now that and right now we have landscapers in there, and they're just tearing all the brush and all the overgrown stuff away. So we actually see these catch basins, which there are no records on the city of these things, by the way. There were nothing to be found, so we've had to piece it together in a rather forensic style. So it's fun for me, but it does present some interesting things about it.
Thank you.
So Walter had Lewis over there on the site Saturday with somebody who did a little dowsing to show him where the water is. And Lewis, with all his engineering skills, was little surprised, or?
I was very surprised.
Yeah. Anyway, it's, as you can see, he's pretty excited about the building, and I think that we're looking for something really big. So we appreciate the time. I know we took longer than we normally do on a pre-app, but I think it was important for you to get at least a feel for what we're talking about.
Thank you. We'll see you shortly then, Mike. You think I'm getting July? Okay, we'll see you then.
It's a deal.
Next meeting.
Thank you. Good night.
So I can leave my cards here. Would you like
Sure.
them?
When you give them right to Joe, and we'll take them from there. Yeah, thank you very much, sir.
One quick thing, actually, sort of bit maybe off the track. We would like to submit, the zoning ordinance wants 24 by 36 inch drawings. We would like to submit 30 by 42.
Yeah, I think that's an.
It'll give us a good overview. This is a 50 scale plan, so you'll see the site. And with these match lines, these will be 20 scale drawings then on, again, on a 30 by 42 inch sheet.
Thank you.
And it would be more chopped up on a smaller side.
But we need a waiver for that, if that's okay with the
Any of the board members have a problem with that? I don't have a
No.
problem.
As
with it.
long as
Does that work from the staff end?
Yeah, drawers big enough.
Oh, that works.
Yeah, we have no problem with that then.
Thank you very much.
Wish you well. Good luck.
It's really enormous. You know, you don't know. You don't know. Big economic development project. Honestly, it's gonna be very sleepy. Well, there is a number of jobs. But in this location, can I help you with that?
Yes, some of this, some of this.
Pretty good. Fewer less traffic. Yeah, you'll never go. Never go to office space. Generate what?
See how them as a serious look at them.
Okay, moving along on the agenda, any board members have any correspondences or follow-ups of any other board member on?
Yes, I have follow-up. Mr. Chairman, excuse me. I've spoken before about historic board visibility in the community and our need to reach out in a broader manner to the community. We've had a major step forward in that regard, thanks to the support of the Historic Board of Council of Samaras. I recently met with the editor of the Lowell Sun, Jim Campanini, and explained our situation to him, and his words to me were, "How can I help?" And he has granted the Historic Board the ability to have a periodic column in the paper to explain to the community how we operate, and volunteered, a reporter, a photographer, if we wanted. We're gonna start out with a story about a small business in the downtown area and what we've done to work with them. And it's pretty exciting, just to have our own column. Thanks to him, and we appreciate his support and recognizing the need in the community. So over the summer, you'll see these things periodically in the newspaper. Steve Stoll, the administrator, is currently working on the first of many to come. That's all.
Thank you. Anybody else? Dick?
Yeah, last week I attended the meeting on stormwater regulations and permits out at the Littleton, run by the Mass Council of Governments, and was interesting and informative. And I think the key takeaways that relate to this body is that we really need to take a very serious look at, minimizing discharge from sites, the retention of stormwater on sites, and the use of permeable surfaces. A lot of the rest had to do with, the permitting and the requirements for cities and towns to document all their, runoffs and so forth. But like I say, those were the three big takeaways that I came, away with that relates to this board. And, I'm glad that I attended, because I think it helps us all be more cognizant of the requirements that are coming, and expanding over the next few years.
Thank you, Dick. Anybody else? No. If not, we have any more follow-ups? If not, we can entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Bob, second by Richard. The motion made in favor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes yes. Any opposition? Hearing none. Motion passes. We are adjourned. Good night, and thank you, everyone.
No, it's gonna have a dramatic